Can you sing better with your eyes closed or open? Yeah. Hey, well, okay, we'll just share that wisdom. It's all inner and it's all good. We know that. And we know what's coming is all good too. Didn't feel too much like spring out there, but we know that next week, did you realize next Sunday, we get to turn our clocks ahead. I just looked there. So, hey, if the clocks turn, spring must be right here. I mean, what could be wrong with that? But anyway, we're starting off a month called Rebirth. What is it called? Rebirth of Spring. And that's what Reverend Joyanne and the whole service and the celebration is going to focus on. Today, I started off with a couple of words, and I'm sure everybody picked them up. It had something to do with being open. And spring is about an opening, isn't it? The ground is kind of open up and life comes up, whether it's green or whatever the color might be. And also within us, same sort of thing. We open up to that inner beingness. And so Reverend Joyanne is going to talk about open mind and open heart. Sounds exciting. And then we'll probably have some wings because the wingman has returned from holiday. And we're delighted with that. And thank you to Heartbeat for starting us off. And with no more delay, I'll bring up Reverend Joyanne.
Got my everything out of order here. What are we going to do with you, Ken?
Divine right order.
Divine right order, thank you. It's all good, right? Well, I am so excited because this is the rebirthing of spring. Who is ready for spring? Anyone here ready? We can put all of our hands up. Let's put all of our hands up. Say, I am ready for spring. I am ready for spring. Say it again. I am ready for spring. One more time. I am ready for spring. Oh, see, it's going to come sooner now. Because we declared it. And what we declare in mind must be. How exciting is that? So it is. And we know that everything, like during the winter, things were kind of sleeping and nature was taking a collective breath of, kind of resting. And then now this life force that is not gone, but just dozing during the winter months is now coming to life. Dowsing is good too? Okay. All right, so our intention this month, yes, did you have a question?
Robin Williams says that spring is nature's way of saying, let's party!
In case you didn't hear it, Robin Williams, who has gone on before us, said that nature's message to us about spring is let's party. So let's say that. Let's party! Yes, so we're celebrating spring this entire month, as you can see, and it's perfect. Yes, spring-like weather is coming. It was here all week, and it will be showing up today, I know. So it is our intention here at the center every week this month to look at aspects of the divine rebirthing itself as each of us. As we are like this beautiful seed that Spirit planted here on this planet, and that this life force that is us is coming forward. It's beautiful. We're all blossoming. I was at Bed and Beyond. Who knows about that store?
Yeah.
And they had a bedspread that I had to buy. And it's called Blossom. Blossom. So if you ever, not that you're all invited to my bedroom. I'm just saying. So it's beautiful. It looks like it's this giant flower. It's all white, the bedspread, and then this giant flower is just blossoming. So every night when I crawl into my bed, I am blossoming in wonderful ways. So I love that. But here's the spiritual truth not only about spring, but about every single one of us. Here it is, that we are always, all of us are always evolving, no matter how fabulous your life is right now. And for many of us, it is fabulous. We have puppies. We have all these wonderful things happening. No matter how fabulous it is, it can always evolve to something even greater and even better than possible, that we possibly even thought. So life is evolving. And so there's always more expansion to do, and there are greater and even greater possibilities for us to explore. In fact, Abraham Hicks, which many of you have read and studied some of their materials, said that we never get it done. Like we don't arrive and, okay, now I'm a minister and I don't do anything. We are always unfolding, no matter where you go or what you're doing. We are unfolding, we're blossoming greater and better. And so, growing up, all of us learned, and see if this is true for you, we all learned about our 5 senses, right? We learned that we have taste, we have touch, we have smell, we have hearing, and we have sight. And in 1999, there was a movie out. I want to know how many of you saw it. It was called The Sixth Sense. How many of you saw that movie? I had to watch it 3 times because the first time it was such a, I'm not going to say a tongue twister, but a mind bender to watch this movie. If you haven't seen it, I recommend it. It's very wonderful. It was this Bruce Willis and Haley Joel Osment and a little boy who said, I can see dead people. So it's a very interesting movie. I recommend it if you haven't seen it. If you have seen it, see it again. It's very good. Okay, so they were talking about the sixth sense. We're not talking about that today. But what I am going to share with you for the next 2 weeks, today you will get 3, and next week you will get 3. I'm calling them divine faculties, that every single one of us have these 6 things that we may or may not be using. And they are additional ones to the human ones of taste, touch, smell, hearing, and sight. These ones are divine faculties already within us. And so we're going to see, you can check in to see if you're using them. So 3 today, and that's why this is actually called Open Your Mind and Your Heart, Part 1. And next week is Part 2. So before I do that, though, I just wanted to share a couple things. Anyone here for the first time? The very first time? Yeah, we have someone here for the first time. And so this is just for you. Gee, you get your own sermon. This is just for you. And I'd like to do just a tiny little smidgen of our community and what we're about and what we do, because I think that's very important to remind ourselves of that. So the first one is that we are a Science of Mind center. We're called the Centers for Spiritual Living. We have about 500 centers around the world. And Science of Mind principles, with that, we fall under the umbrella called New Thought. And you may not know this, but in 1900, about 1889, around there, 1900s, there was a huge rebellion. Do we all like a good rebellion? Yeah. Okay, there was a rebellion called Spirits in Rebellion, and that's when our founder studied all religions and brought them all together. Instead of being this one or this one or this one, he brought them all together in a teaching called Science of Mind. And there's 3 really important aspects of that. The first one is that every one of us, we create a personal, intimate, no intermediary necessary relationship with the divine, realizing that the highest, the infinite blessing of the divine, and Ernest Holmes says it this way, the highest God and the innermost God is one God. So we believe that. We take full and complete responsibility for our lives. That's kind of a big one. And that we realize we are not victims, that we chose everything. And finally, the third one, just for today, is to recognize not only our right, but our responsibility to be all that we can be. To be all that we can be. And since we are ever expanding, that means there's even more goodness and beauty and fun and joy and laughter and party time, thank you, for all of us to experience. It's all good. So there are 3 very powerful divine faculties that I'm going to share with you, and our reading kind of touched a little bit upon that. The first one, though, and see if you understand what this truly means. This is one of the most powerful divine faculties already in you. And I wonder, though, and I'll ask you, how many of you even use this? Albert Einstein, one of the great teachers, kind of the great thinkers. I mean, so many inventions he had. He said that this one thing is more powerful than knowledge. Does anyone know what it might be? What's more powerful than knowledge? Imagination. How many of you really understand the deep power of your imagination? Well, by the time I'm done sharing this, you will. You'll see how powerful it is. So I enjoy, as you all know, I enjoy looking at the meaning, the deeper meaning of words. What does it mean? Like, what is the original word of imagination? Well, it's 2 things. The first one is called the imago. Imagine, the original root word is imago, and what that means is this, and this is the perfect, you'll see why in a minute, the butterfly is up there. It means the natural shape or the picture of perfection. Imago is the natural shape or the picture of perfection, like a butterfly. And this has to do with insects and things, and if you look at the perfect specimen, it would be balanced on both sides, it would be, flying beautifully around like this butterfly. What does nation? Imagine, what does nation mean? Anyone know? It's not our country. Nation may surprise you. What the word means from the Latin is to be born. To be born. So if you put these two together, which I did for you, let me share. Our imagination is our power to birth the natural shape of things or the picture of perfection. That's what imagination means. We don't always use those. See if this is true. We don't always use our imagination the way that we could. Sometimes we use our imagination to scare ourselves, to terrorize ourselves. Let me give you a couple examples. Let's say you go in your basement and you find one termite. One termite, what are you going to say? Oh my God! You could use your imagination in many ways. You could say, oh, this is a very strange, what are you doing here? Out. You can have a lot of responses, right? What do? We terrorize ourselves. Here's another one. Let's see. Let's say you faint and you go to the doctor. And the doctor says, oh my God. And then you could have had a stroke. What do? We take our imagination and we scare ourselves. We give us the worst case scenario. So that is not how we want to use it though. Mark Twain, he said this, I love it. He said, I have been through some terrible things in my life, some of which actually happened. Some of which actually happened. So check in, just see if there's anywhere in your life where you are scaring yourself. Let's say you have a spot on your face, a brown spot, and you think, oh God, now I'm going to be covered with brown, I'm this age and I'm getting brown spot. I mean, we do this to ourselves, so we've got to stop already. Put yourself into a timeout and say, wait a minute, what if I imagine the best? This little spot is going to go away and it's nothing. This cough that showed up, it's nothing. I am perfect health. And I imagine myself, you see yourself that way, very powerful. Dr. Holmes put it this way, he said, the pent-up energy of life and the possibility of further human evolution work through our imagination and our will. And we'll get to the will in a few minutes. The pent-up energy, I like to use this as a metaphor. So imagine, you've all seen this, imagine that you're at a racetrack. How many of you have actually seen this? If you've been to one, don't tell me. It's okay if you did. So you're at the racetrack or you see it on TV. You see this horse, right? The horse is there with all this pent-up energy. He's ready to bolt out of the gate. When the bell rings, the gate opens, and the horse flies out of there like a bat from you-know-where, right? That horse is racing. So in this metaphor, spirit is that pent-up energy inside the horse. It is that pent-up energy, and your imagination is the bell that opens the gate. Very powerful metaphor. I want to give you a true story, how powerful your imagination is. You and I have the power to imagine, to use the power of our imagination within us, and it is a power that is virtually unlimited by this example. This is not just theology, this is not just a theory, this actually is true, this is a fact. At Harvard Medical School, the neuroscientist Alvaro Pascal Leon taught a group of students a little exercise on the piano. Da, 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 da. He had to practice every day for a week, for an hour a day, every day for a week. They tracked their mental energy, you know how they can wire you up, and they saw at the end of a week the brains of those students made a brand new neural pathway. It created a neural pathway by doing this exercise. The second group came in. They did not practice on the piano. They only imagined. They used their imagination, and they only closed their eyes, da 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 da, and they practiced in their mind. Same time, the scientists were stunned because those brains also created the same amount, the same exact amount of a brand new neural pathway. Isn't that amazing? This is a fact. In other words, they discovered that imagination can actually alter the physical structure and function of our brain. Imagine that. How powerful is that? So everything that has ever been done on this planet, great or small, first had its place in the human, through the human, the divine, through the human imagination. Shakespeare put it this way, in his words. He said, as imagination bodies forth the forms of things unknown, the poet's pen turns them to shape and gives to airy nothing a local habitation and a name. All from Shakespeare. Here we said things so lengthy. It is a fact that imagination takes hold, but there is no such thing as airy nothing. There is a divine intelligence, an invisible essence that is everywhere, and when we use our imagination, we are literally calling into form, using that energy to create. Very powerful. This universal energy is everywhere present, and it is sensitive to us. God is not deaf. The universe is not tuned out. It is always on. So even when you have those moments when you're angry, when you're mad, when you're frustrated, when you swear. Does anyone swear? Real? No, he doesn't swear. All of those times, your imagination is very creative. It's very powerful. Now, Thomas Troward said this. He said, having seen and felt the end, you have secured the means to the realization of that end. In other words, and this is from the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, that when you imagine the result you want, let's say you're selling a house. Anyone here selling a house? So we're going to join with you. I join with you in knowing, and I am imagining, I call it imagineering. I'm an engineer, right? Imagineering that your house is sold. I have sold 2 properties a long time ago within 12 hours.
Bidding war.
Within 12, a bidding war.
Yes, there's going to be a bidding war.
Right, bidding war. It's even higher, right? And I was just like, wow, this is so awesome. In your imagination. So right now, we're going to do this today in a little bit. And you can use your house. But all of you, I want to invite you to think of something that you would like to experience in your life. Something that really gives you passion. I'll give you a couple examples. I would like to go on an Abraham cruise. Someone here was, I can't remember who it was, someone in our congregation had gone, but I want to go on this cruise. Oh, it was you. Thank you. Okay. So she did already what I want to do, so I'm going to go hang out with her. So imagine that, or I want to go down the Colorado River in a raft, and what they do is they take care of you, though. I mean, you get in a raft. You did that too? Boy, I have some catching up to do.
Best ever.
Yeah, the best ever. They cook your meals, they set up your bed, they do everything, but, you know, like, it's great. Isn't that great? So imagine going on down a river on a raft that is the best raft trip in your life. Isn't that exciting? And I can use my imagination to think about the result of that. It's very powerful. So our imagination is a powerful tool, and Rhonda Byron, in her daily secret teaching, said, there is no excuse not to give 2 minutes a day to intend your tomorrow. So take a moment, and we're going to do this in just a little bit, something that you would like. And so the number 2, so number 1, of the 3, number 1 is imagination. It's our ability to bring into our experience the great good that we desire, or the blessing, or the positivity. Let's say someone wants a job, and they've applied for a job. Why not imagine you're already there? See yourself, I'm already hired, and it's out of your home, and you don't have to go anywhere. You have your job, your perfect job. You get paid a lot of money. Twice as someone was saying this the other day. I want to earn twice as much money and work half as hard. Wouldn't that be fun? Who wants to do that? Yeah. So why not? Why can't you use your power of imagination to do that? So number 2, and this is something greatly misunderstood, the second faculty of the mind, or of the divine, that is in addition to our 5 senses, is the will. But what is that? I'm going to give you the exact definition. Our will is our ability to give ourselves a command and to follow it. It's like, I'm using this now for my exercise program. To now exercise daily and not use my busy schedule. I've got radio shows and I've got meetings and I've got all these things to do. No, it's important to exercise. Some of us go through whole weeks where we don't exercise. Anyone ever do that? Okay, we can change that. We give our mind a command and we follow through. Very important. Remember Holmes' words, and this is from the Science of Mind textbook. He says, the pent-up energy of life and the possibility of further human evolution works through our imagination and our will. And Genevieve Behend wrote a book called Your Invisible Power, and she said this: visualizing without a will, sufficiently steady to inhibit every thought and feeling contrary to your pictured thought, would be as useless as a lantern without the light. Here I'm carrying a lantern around without a light. So we want to use our imagination, and we give a command to our mind and we follow through with it. The will holds attention to the mental viewpoint, said Holmes, until the creative power has time to work through the law of unfoldment. So we use our will with persistence. We're not forcing it. You're not forcing it. You're not pushing it. Your will is you're giving yourself a command. And you're also following through. So I love this story of a high school basketball coach. See if you like this. I love this. Who was attempting to motivate the players of his team halfway through a difficult season. So this is the coach. He yelled, he said, how about Muhammad Ali? Did he give up? And the whole team said, no, coach. And he said, well, how about Terry Fox? Did Terry Fox ever give up? The whole team said, no. All right. And then he said, and what about Elmer McAllister? And there was total silence. And Elmer McAllister, one of his brave players on the basketball team said, Coach, who's Elmer McAllister? And the coach snapped. He said, well, you never heard of him because he gave up. He gave up. So we never give up. And John F. Kennedy said this. I love it. John F. Kennedy asked the premier scientist of his day, Werner von Braun, what it would take to put a man on the moon and bring him back. What would it take? And this was the scientist's 5 words: the will to do it. There is not anything you cannot be, do, or have. Use your imagination and the will, your ability to make a command to yourself, and the power to follow through. The last one today, the last of the 3 for today, is called something you have heard, and all of these provide the impetus for rebirthing this time of year, for rebirthing ourselves. You can create a whole new possibility for yourself. So the final one for today, you've all heard of, but do you really know what it means? And it's called intuition. This is a divine faculty that every one of us have. How many of you feel you're really in touch with your intuition? How many of you would like more intuition? Okay, so you can use your imagination and your will to command. I now accept that my intuition is greater than it's ever been. Every day it gets bigger and greater and clearer. Okay, so this last one, this mental or divine faculty is our intuition, which is non-linear intelligence. It is our ability to have information and knowingness that drops in. Anyone ever going somewhere, you're driving down the street in your car, and you have this feeling that you should take a different route, and you find out that there was a big accident, and it would have slowed you up and you would have been late? That is intuition. There are people, countless people on this planet, who are going to get on an airplane, And all these things happen in which they don't, and they say, okay, and their intuition is not to get on the airplane. Then the airplane crashes. This happened with many. We've had recently some airplanes that crashed in the ocean. And this gentleman from another country was sharing on TV that something told him not to get on. And it dropped into the ocean, and he was the only survivor. We have intuition from Dr. Holmes and our founder saying that intuition is a divine intelligence communicating with us directly. Everyone has it. Some people seem to be more in tune, and the only difference between them and us, if we're not in tune, is practice. Practice listening. Praying is when we talk to God or the divine or essence, love, intelligence. 1 second. And meditation is when we listen. Yes? Pardon?
Is the divine intelligence.
Repeat. You want me to press the repeat button?
Intuition is the divine intelligence.
Right, okay. I don't remember what I said. You can watch it on YouTube. I'm just kidding. So divine, here we go.
Divine intelligence communicating with us directly.
Yeah, so intuition is the divine intelligence dropping in. It kind of drops in. It's not, well, sometimes it's a big drop in, like this. Let's say you're walking, I'm sure this has happened to you. You're walking down the street and you almost stepped on something. We won't say what something that you didn't want to step on. And the something, you don't even know why, but you looked down and went, oh, and you missed it, or you didn't fall, you caught yourself. There's probably thousands and thousands of things that we have been given. This is a direct communication of the divine to you. So we can tap in, tune in, and be ready for that. Intuition. So be a good steward of these ideas and know and listen. Anyone ever argue? What do you mean I should go down that street? I don't feel like going down that street. Anyone ever do that? Any do mud wrestling with the divine?
I had it once as I was going out the door and I saw my coat and divine intuition said, take your coat. And my logic, my human stepped and said, no, you don't need it. It's nice and sunny out. I froze my butt later because of what she
Right. Yeah, so she didn't listen to her intuition. And it's in always big things, little things, in between things. At the store, you're at the store, buy this product because, and then they run out, they don't even make it anymore. So I've had that happen. So Earl Nightingale once said this. He said, great ideas are like slippery fish. If they are gaffed on the end of a pen, they swim away quickly, never to be seen again. So I would encourage you to listen, to write down. You can take notes. I keep a writing pad next to my meditation because as soon as I get quiet, I get all kinds of things start coming in about this, about that. I should do this. It's like the whole universe opens up. She's finally listening. She's finally quiet. And all kinds of things come pouring in. It's amazing. And you have that too. We all have that. We have these qualities. And while writing them down is important, we also want to follow through. So right now, I want you to close your eyes. We're going to have some music played. I want you to bring to mind one thing that you would like, and we're going to use all three of these divine faculties. I want you to think of one thing that you would like to manifest. It could be your job, your perfect mate, your perfect health, your perfect home, that the one you have is sold, the one you're going to buy is already yours. Use your imagination that it's done. You're there. Feel it. Visualize this dream of yours. This higher possibility. And invite your imagination, that ability to picture the result that you desire. Put yourself, as Abraham Hicks said, into the picture. See that you are inside of the car that you want, or the property you want to buy, or the job that you would like, or the health, or the mate that you're sitting next to your mate, and is this person fine? This is a fine, fine, beautiful being. Imagine it. hold that thought. With your will, you give your mind a command. It's like you were ordering from the menu of the universe what it is you want. And see yourself there. I'm going to be quiet for just a minute, and I want you to go into that vision, whether it's health, whether it's getting with a mate or getting a divorce or buying a house or selling a house or getting a job or whatever it is. Right now, for the next minute, imagine it is done. You are there. Feel it. Feel the joy. So with that, a beautiful dream, already an accomplished fact, I now invite you, using your divine will, that divine faculty of will, to command your mind to follow through. Not only are you imaging it, but you are using your will to be willing to receive it. I command my consciousness to bring this forward. And now you invite your intuition to guide you to the next step. What is next? You ask, what is next? Using your imagination, your will, and your intuition, these divine faculties. And as powerful and important as these divine faculties are, there is more. There is more. There is all the love of the divine that is always supporting you, uplifting you, empowering you. So remember that you are not alone in this. You are so loved. In fact, you are adored by the universe and supported on this journey in every single second. And so in gratitude, I just say thank you, Spirit. I just let it be. And we say together, and so it is. All right, we have another song. And this one is a beautiful Sunday, which we know is happening. So let's, you can just stay seated and just sing along, or just allow yourself to embody this beautiful, beautiful Sunday.